we're going to do 10,000 ounces this year. We keep talking about it, but we actually have to just do it.
As soon as the machine shuts down, everyone's attention turns to Parker. The crew doesn't ask questions, but their faces are filled with questions. Body language clearly indicates everyone wants to know, what next? Parker has faced this pressure before, but this time the stakes are much higher. This isn't just a repair, it's a moment of trust. Some crew members softly share their concerns. Someone says the alignment looks risky, someone brings up fuel burn. The tone is respectful, but the anxiety is palpable. Parker doesn't interrupt, he listens to everyone. This is his style. Listen first, then speak. Parker remains calm. No anger, no panic. He comes down to the facts. What exactly seems off? How many minutes is a fix possible? And what is the risk of a restart? This approach gives the crew confidence because clarity in chaos is the greatest leadership. Finally, Parker makes the decision. A controlled restart with a quick fix. No drama, no shouting, just a clear instruction and a steady voice. The crew understands that even under pressure, Parker never loses control. This is the moment where a leader is proven. The machine restarts, and no matter the outcome, that day the crew gains confidence that they are not alone in Season 16. Risky fix decision. After the machine suddenly stopped, the atmosphere on site was no less than an exam hall. Engineers and senior crew were checking parts. Alignment tools were out, but everyone knew there wasn't time to retest the entire system from scratch. The weather window was small, the ground was ready, and every extra hour was a loss for Parker. This was a situation where a perfect decision wasn't possible. A quick fix meant isolating the problem, making the necessary adjustments, and restarting the machine. A full test would have meant several hours, perhaps a whole day. Parker had two choices: play it safe and lose time, or take the risk and proceed. The fear was clearly visible in the crew's eyes because if the fix went wrong, it could damage not just the machine, but the entire season. Parker told everyone to remain calm. He asked the engineers simple questions. Is the issue critical or manageable? Are parts in immediate danger? Answers were mixed, but the majority agreed that a controlled restart was possible. Parker knew this decision was a gamble, but every big result in mining comes from a gamble. Finally, Parker approved the risky fix. No full testing, just essential checks. The machine was restarted, and in that moment, every breath felt heavy. It could have been a success or a disaster, and this uncertainty is what makes mining brutal. First, gold cleanup. Shock after a few hours of operation, it was time for cleanup. The gold room was silent, as if everyone's heart had stopped. Parker himself was present, and the crew's faces were readable. Some excited, some nervous. Cleanup always tells the truth. No excuses are accepted. When the gold was weighed, the numbers came out. Slightly. Less than the expected count, but not a disaster. This was the shock, neither complete joy nor complete disappointment. Some people breathed a sigh of relief, while others looked disappointed. Everyone was confused whether to consider it a success or a warning. This is where the uncertainty begins. The quick fix got the machine running, but the recovery numbers became question marks. Is the alignment still off? Is the machine not running at full potential? Or is the ground itself tough? No one had the answers. Parker quietly looked at the numbers and said nothing. He knew that the first cleanup wasn't the final verdict, but it was also true that expectations were sky high. The crew understood that Season 16 wasn't going to be easy, and every cleanup had now become a pressure test. Season projection, jackpot or loss. After the quick fix and first cleanup, the biggest question now arises: where will this season ultimately go? Parker and his team sit and watch the numbers. If this new machine becomes stable, the recovery rate stays around 90%, and downtime remains under control, the potential for Season 16 could jump to $60–80 million. This isn't just a dream number, but a realistic projection based on ground data and processing capacity. If the machine speed continues to run consistently daily, the daily yardage could almost double. This means more dirt, more gold, and a massive payout by the end of the season. For Parker, this won't just be money, it'll be proof that he took the right risk at the right time. In a jackpot scenario, Parker could become the undisputed king of Season 16. But every projection in mining has a dark side. If the machine remains unreliable, breakdowns increase, or recovery doesn't reach expected levels, these same numbers could backfire. A $2.5 million machine, high fuel burn, and maintenance costs. All of these could push the season into a loss. In the worst-case scenario, Parker could face losses worth millions. As season 16 begins, Parker Schnabel makes a move that shakes the entire Gold Rush game. The cold terrain of the Yukon, immense pressure, and deadlines. All of this is happening. Meanwhile, Parker brings in a machine that leaves even the crew stunned. This isn't a normal upgrade, it's a straight-up power shift. At the level Parker plays, one wrong decision could ruin the entire season, and one right decision could change everything. People are shocked to hear the cost of this new machine. An investment of approximately $2.5 million at a 30% higher fuel burn rate, but almost 2x the processing capacity. This means double the risk and double the reward. Parker knows the competition in Season 16 won't be easy. The ground is tougher than before, the gold pockets are deeper, and the recovery rate will determine the true winner. That's why he's not playing it safe. He's going all in. But the suspense doesn't end there. Problems begin as soon as the machine lands on site. Calibration issues, belt alignment, and a moment when the entire operation freezes for a few minutes. The tension in the crew's eyes is palpable, and the silence on Parker's face speaks volumes. If this machine fails, not only will money be lost, Parker's reputation is also at stake. And if this machine works, the numbers are insane. An estimated $680 million season potential. This is the moment where the fate of Season 16 will be decided. If you follow Gold Rush seriously, if you don't subscribe now, you'll miss the upcoming twist. What's going to happen in the next few minutes could change not just the gold, but the entire game, increasing pressure on Parker. In Season 16, Parker Schnabel isn't just mining gold. He's putting his entire credibility at stake. In previous seasons, people have seen him as a smart, aggressive miner. But that image has also put pressure on him. Everyone expects Parker to hit the jackpot every year, no matter how tough the ground. This time the situation is even tighter, as the ground isn't easy and the competition is stronger than ever. The biggest cause of mental pressure is the crew's responsibility. Dozens of people depend on Parker, their salary, their future, and sometimes even their families. If the season fails, not just Parker will suffer, but the entire team will suffer. This is why Parker overthinks every decision, yet he still refuses to take risky calls. Financial pressure is no less. Parker has already invested millions in Season 16. Fuel, transport, equipment, permits, everything has become expensive. Fuel prices have risen by approximately 25 to 30% compared to previous seasons, and the daily burn rate is running into the thousands of dollars. A bad week can derail an entire season's budget. Reputation pressure is perhaps the most dangerous. Parker knows that if he plays conservatively this season, people will say he's slow, and if he plays risky and fails, those same people will say he's reckless. Meanwhile, Parker has to strike a balance, and this mental game makes Season 16 emotionally heavy. Why the old machine was failing. Parker's old wash plant had worked for several seasons, but by the time Season 16 was underway, it was clearly outdated. The old setup's biggest problem was its slow processing speed. While the new grounds had fast-moving, heavy material, the amount of material the old machine could process in an hour was far below the season target. Gold loss was another major issue. Experts estimate the recovery rate in the old wash plant was around 80–82%. This means that out of every 100 ounces of gold mined, approximately 18 to 20 ounces were simply wasted. If the daily average was 300 ounces of gold, approximately 50–60 ounces were being lost every day, a direct loss of millions of dollars. Downtime was also weighing heavily on Parker. The old machine required frequent maintenance, belt slips, screen clogging, water flow imbalance. Each breakdown meant a shutdown of at least 2 to 3 hours. These hours are precious in mining because gold doesn't run away, but weather does. Processing capacity was also limited. The old wash plant could only efficiently handle certain sizes of material. As soon as clay-heavy or Boulder-rich ground was encountered, efficiency plummeted. The ground Parker is working on in Season 16 is tough, and this became the old machine's biggest weakness. That's why Parker understood, if he stuck with this setup, even a season average would be difficult, let alone a jackpot. The old machine had brought him success in the past, but in Season 16, that same machine had become his biggest obstacle. Risky decision night. That night wasn't just a meeting for Parker Schnabel. It was a turning point. The crew was exhausted after a long day of digging. The site was quiet, and only the faint hum of generators could be heard in the cool breeze. In that atmosphere, Parker gathered everyone. His face was serious, his voice low, and it was clear in his eyes that this wasn't a normal discussion. Everyone sensed that a major decision was about to be made. Doubts were evident within the crew. Some were saying that the budget was already tight, others that the mid-season upgrade was too risky. Some quietly looked at each other as if thinking to themselves, what if this goes wrong? Parker was listening, but didn't interrupt. He knew the fear was genuine because the stakes were high. After a moment of silence, Parker spoke. He clearly stated that if he played it safe, the season would end at an average. The jackpot would only be reached if risks were taken. He admitted that this decision scared him, but more than that, he was afraid that he might be left behind. At that moment, Parker wasn't the boss, just a human being feeling the weight of his decision. Finally, Parker made the final call. No dramatic speech, just a calm line. We do this now, or we regret it later. That one sentence silenced the entire room. The crew understood that the decision wouldn't change. From that very night, the direction of Season 16 changed. Reveal of the insane new machine. A few days later, when the new machine arrived on site, the atmosphere changed. Everyone stopped as soon as it got off the trailer. The size of the machine made it clear that it wasn't a minor upgrade. The height, width, and heavy steel body, everything seemed overbuilt. This machine didn't seem to stand on the ground, but rather challenged it. As soon as the machine was started, its sound reached a different level. A deep, powerful rumble, a sound that clearly indicated a massive force was at work inside. Compared to the thin metallic noise of the old wash plant, this sound was heavy and confident. The crew's faces displayed both excitement and fear, as handling so much power wasn't easy. Power was accompanied by control, faster trommel rotation, a wider sluice system, and stronger water flow. Everything was designed to extract more material and more gold. Experts estimated the machine's processing capacity to nearly double. This meant the same time, the same crew, but a much higher output. That's why this wasn't a simple upgrade. It was Parker's statement that he wouldn't play small. This machine wasn't just for extracting gold, it was to change the entire balance of Season 16. If it worked, Parker would be unstoppable. And if it failed, the loss wouldn't just be financial, but the entire season. Real cost and data breakdown. This new machine may seem like a pile of iron and steel, but it's actually Parker Schnabel's most expensive decision yet. The machine's basic cost alone is approximately $2.5 million, and that's just the purchase price. Additionally, transportation, setup, permits, and calibration cost a significant amount. This upgrade is eating up the largest portion of Parker's budget in Season 16. Fuel cost is the biggest danger point for this machine. While the old wash plant ran on a fixed amount of fuel throughout the day, this new machine consumes approximately 30% more fuel. This means thousands of dollars are being burned daily just on diesel. If the weather turns bad or digging stops, fuel will still be burned, whether gold is found or not. Maintenance isn't cheap either. Bigger belts, heavy motors, and advanced parts mean even minor problems can become major repairs. A major breakdown can cost $50,000, $100,000 plus downtime. In mining, a machine shutdown means the gold stops, but the costs don't. This is where the game of daily risk versus daily reward begins. If this machine works well, Parker can extract $250,000, $400,000 worth of gold daily. But if recovery is low or there are breakdowns, that same day could result in a loss of $100,000 plus. Every day, Parker is literally gambling. Explain technology in simple terms. Now the question is, why so much risk? The answer is technology. The new machine's biggest upgrade is its improved sluice system. The sluice is where the gold is held, and the waste material passes through. This machine has a wider and deeper sluice, greatly reducing the chance of heavy gold particles slipping through. Another major difference is the faster trommel. The trommel is a rotating drum that sifts the material. In the old machine, it rotated slowly, which limited processing. The trommel in the new machine rotates faster, but in a controlled manner. This allows more material to be processed quickly without shedding gold. Water flow is also smarter. Previously, the water was either too much or too little, making the recovery uneven. Now the flow is evenly spread, giving the gold time to settle. Experts estimate this change has increased the recovery rate from 80% to approximately 92%. In simple terms, Parker used to sift through 10 buckets of soil and recover gold from 8. Now the same machine is recovering 9 or more out of 10. This extra gold could make millions over the course of an entire season. That's why it's not just a machine, it's an attempt to strike a balance between time, soil, and gold. Parker knows that technology isn't perfect, but the winner of Season 16 will be the one who recovers every grain of gold. Crew reaction, excitement, plus fear. As the new machine was fully ready on site, the atmosphere among the crew became strange. Some had a slight smile on their faces, while others had clear fear in their eyes. Body language spoke volumes. Some stood near the machine, examining its details, while others stood at a distance, as if mentally preparing themselves. Everyone understood that this moment was not only one of excitement, but also one of risk. The crew was talking less and thinking more. No one spoke openly, but the same question lingered in everyone's mind. What if it fails? This machine was expensive, powerful, but also unforgiving. One small mistake, one wrong setting, and the entire operation could come to a halt. The silence was overwhelming, and that silence only increased the tension. Some experienced miners feared that handling so much power would be difficult. They were comfortable with the old setup and knew its limits. The new machine was unpredictable. There was excitement because everyone knew that if it worked, the gold numbers would be insane. But beneath the excitement lay fear, the fear of failure. Parker was watching all this, but he didn't say anything. He knew that in this moment, actions would speak louder than words. The crew's trust now rested on the machine's performance, and that performance was about to be revealed. First day operation, tension starts. As soon as the machine started, the entire site changed. The sound instantly seemed different, deep, heavy, and continuous. It wasn't the familiar sound of the old wash plant. It was something more serious. The belt began to rotate, water flow began, and material began to enter. All eyes were fixed on the machine. The first few minutes seemed smooth, but then there was a subtle change in the noise. The belt speed seemed a bit inconsistent, and the material flow began to feel uneven. Some crew members looked at each other without saying anything. Everyone feared overload because this machine could handle a lot of material, but if the limit was exceeded, problems could begin. The material suddenly became heavier as it went in. Clay-rich dirt began testing the machine. Vibration increased, pressure appeared on the screen, and for a few seconds it seemed the system was struggling. This was the moment when time slowed down. Every second felt heavier. Parker raised his hand to signal that the feed be slowed slightly. The machine stabilized, but the tension remained. The first day meant a learning curve, and Parker knew this was just the beginning. The machine was running, but the question still lingered. Would it be able to withstand the pressure of the entire season, or would the first day itself become a warning? Unexpected breakdown moment. Amidst the tension of the first day, suddenly comes a moment no one expects. The machine begins to vibrate strangely. The sound becomes a little heavy, and the belt's movement doesn't appear perfectly straight. It wasn't a loud crash, but experienced miners know something is wrong. Even a small issue in calibration or alignment can signal major damage. The crew is immediately alerted. Feed is slowed, then the decision is made to stop the machine. The site falls into complete silence. This silence is the most terrifying in mining, because every minute of stopping means thousands of dollars vanishing into thin air. The gold remains at the bottom, but time is running out. A calibration issue means the machine isn't handling the material at the correct angle and speed. Even a slight off alignment can lead to a drop in gold recovery or rapid wear of parts. This is why no miner ignores such a signal. Safety, efficiency, and season all hinge on this one decision. A stop of a few minutes may seem small on the outside, but in mining reality, it can become a chain reaction. If the problem isn't fixed, the next restart becomes even more risky. The same old fear returns to the crew's faces. Is this a warning or just a normal adjustment? Parker's leadership test. This is why Season 16 has become an all-or-nothing season for Parker. This isn't just a season of mining gold, it's a season of calculation, patience, and nerves. The difference between a jackpot and a loss rests on just a few decisions and a few days. Hidden danger still alive. The machine is running, gold is being mined, but the danger hasn't disappeared. The biggest silent enemy is fuel cost. The new machine consumes a huge amount of diesel daily. Fuel prices are already high, and if operations slow down or are interrupted by weather, fuel burn will continue, whether gold is mined or not. This slow leak creates losses. Weather is another major threat. The weather in the Yukon is unpredictable. Sudden rain, cold, or frozen ground can halt operations. The machine is powerful, but every machine is vulnerable to the weather. One bad weather week can ruin an entire season's planning. The fear of mechanical failure always looms large. Bigger machines mean bigger parts and bigger failures. If a critical part breaks down and a spare isn't immediately available, it can mean days of downtime. In mining, losing days means losing a season. And the most dangerous thing is one bad day. A day when fuel is wasted, the weather turns bad, and the machine hiccups. That one day can throw off the balance of the season. Parker knows all this, and this awareness keeps him restless. The danger hasn't disappeared in Season 16. It's just changed shape. The day is winding down, the machine is still running, but no one on site is completely relieved. Gold has been found, the numbers aren't bad, yet a strange tension hangs in the air. Parker stands at a distance listening to the machine, as if searching for a hidden message in every vibration. This is the phase of Season 16 where everything seems fine, but the real danger begins. Preparations are underway for the next operation, and the ground seems tougher than before. The dirt is changing color, the clay is heavier, and signals indicate that ahead lies either the richest gold pocket or the biggest trap. The crew is quietly checking their tools, no one is talking much. Everyone knows that the next run will decide a lot. Parker has the same calm look on his face, but the pressure is clearly felt inside. He knows that if the next startup goes smoothly, the season could be unstoppable. But if the machine fails even once, losses will mount rapidly. This is the thin line on which the entire Season 16 is running. And the story doesn't stop here, but rather becomes more dangerous. Brother, if you haven't subscribed yet and missed the next breakdown or jackpot, then the world will see the biggest story of Season 16 before you. The next moment could change not just the gold, but the entire game.